It's been 2 days since the Marvels trailer dropped, but the war to corral fans has already reached critical mass.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
It's safe to say that Brie Larson is not a well-liked actress. That is why fans have been turned off by her involvement with the MCU. Since 2019, everything Brie Larson has done has been well documented online. Not by the people angry with her comments about A Wrinkle in Time, but by the horde of obsessed Brie Larson fans desperate to defend their Ice Queen's honor. If Brie Larson sneezes and enough people don't say Gesundheit, a dozen articles about sexism pop up. Well, she sneezed, and here's another one. According to it, if you gave the Marvel trailers a thumbs down, you hate all women. In life, 3 things are inevitable: death, taxes, and male Marvel fans openly weeping about superhero movies that center around women superheroes. Change is admittedly hard. I remember struggling to adjust between preschool and kindergarten drop-off when my mom no longer held my hand and walked me into the classroom. Of course, I was a small child. These are presumably adolescent adult men, at least age-wise. You see why Brie Larson's never gonna get over? In case you missed it this week, Marvel Studios dropped the trailer for their highly anticipated Captain Marvel sequel, The Marvels. In The Marvels, 3 heroes are up to some intergalactic hijinks and leading their own movie, sans Iron Man or Captain America or any other tired male superhero. And with that predictably pissed off a number of proud male self-identified nerds, within 24 hours of being posted on YouTube, the Marvel trailer became the most disliked Marvel trailer in history. Per Thursday's Rolling Stone report, the YouTube official upload from Marvel Studios has been hit by over 300,000 dislikes and thousands of copy pasta comments, a popular way to spam comments and drown out positive replies by inundating comment sections with similar messaging. By comparison, the magazine notes that the widely despised superhero movie Morbius, clowned on by critics and audiences alike, only garnered 11,000 dislikes on its trailer. None of this should come as a surprise to those aware of the ongoing trend of review bombing that targets Marvel projects that feature women superheroes, people of color superheroes, LGBTQ superheroes, characters, or some combination of all of those. The Disney Plus show She-Hulk was extensively review bombed on Rotten Tomatoes, as was Miss Marvel, which centered around a teenage Muslim girl. Larson specifically has long been a source of ire and fury for some male Marvel fans and incel forums due to her outspokenness on gender parity in the entertainment industry, and of course for leading a franchise's first big female superhero-centric film. In any case, the miserable bonkers reaction to the Marvels reminds me of an episode of She-Hulk last year, in which the show used real-life comments from sexist Marvel fans in an episode wherein She-Hulk goes online and reads comments about herself. Some of these comments include, "Why is everything in Marvel gotta be female now?" and "So we have a Me Too movement and now all male heroes are gone?" In that same episode, a Jordan Peterson-type vlogger groans, "They took Hulk's manhood away, but they gave it to a woman?" As a reluctant Marvel fan, I'm glad the studio can poke fun at the sexist trolls and remains undeterred in building a more diverse superhero roster. But I do wish the massive studio with all the resources would do it in a better way of supporting and standing up for its stars, who are often all too hung out to dry on the digital hellhole known as YouTube.com. This tired narrative only fuels the flames of the Brie Larson dumpster fire and furthers the distaste for anything she appears in. Brie Larson isn't only as controversial because of her actions, but by the actions of her ardent supporters. Fans have been displeased by her performance, and Marvel's eagerness to convince them how much better she is than the characters fans actually like. People have investments in the story. Cutting in to sell the next phase reeks of greed. It's similar to the issue fans have with The Mandalorian. People aren't mad because there are women characters, they're mad because sidekicks and other pointless characters take away screen time from the titular hero that they're there to watch. It's just false advertising. It's a bait and switch, which angers audiences, not the gender of the characters. Where were the sexist fans when Marvel made the Wasp a titular hero? By that logic, or lack thereof, there would have been online outrage over Ant-Man not being the star anymore. No one complained. Where was the outrage over adding another woman to the Guardians of the Galaxy? The only complaint was that the women looked like men. Where was the outrage when Wanda was a big part of Doctor Strange, or received her own TV show, or was one of the most powerful heroes ever? Fans don't complain because they dislike women or minorities. Fans complain when companies hide behind bad decisions and blame failures on the fans' personal issues. Articles like this use self-serving bias, which is the tendency people have to process information in ways to advance their own self-interests, or support their pre-existing views. The whole Brie Larson fiasco is just that. The people who defend her cherry-pick the reasons why fans are displeased and use misogyny as a cover-all phrase. People don't like Captain Marvel? Sexism. People aren't watching Miss Marvel? Sexism. People aren't in love with She-Hulk? The quality speaks for itself. It's incredibly narrow-minded and ignorant to paint an audience a certain way when they're displeased with a trailer. Marvel audiences don't hate women-led series, they hate poorly made shows that hide their flaws behind political reasons. Phase 4 was the beginning of Marvel introducing their B-team heroes with a much smaller fan base. Everyone knows the name Captain America, but Shang-Chi isn't even popular among Marvel readers. Phase 4 was also considered bad by a majority of fans for a multitude of reasons. Fans didn't take issue with Black Widow getting her own film. A majority of audiences wanted one before Endgame. Why not give her a film before Captain Marvel? Shang-Chi was not criticized for featuring an Asian lead, it was criticized for acting as if it was the first major film with an Asian lead, where there have been countless other Asian cinema stars, and Asia has one of the strongest film presences on the planet. The criticisms were levied at the arrogance of the company, yet the stars took to Twitter to start wars with fans looking for racist comments. The Eternals is considered bad by every filmmaking metric, yet the press focuses on the diversity of the cast over the quality of the story and the terrible visual effects. Again, the self-serving bias came into play to paint dissatisfied filmgoers as racist bigots. Thor: Love and Thunder was led by a white man, but considered one of the worst Marvel movies to date because of the bad story and notoriously bad special effects. The overabundance of humor was also critiqued harder than anything featuring Jane Foster's Thor. Fans do not want to see the main hero usurped by a sidekick or a second-tier character. Those were the main criticisms about Wakanda Forever, not racism. The only film to be mostly free of these criticisms is Spider-Man: No Way Home, which, while part of the MCU, was a Sony film. Just like the aforementioned Morbius from the article. Its massive success was due to the fact that Sony brought back fan-favorite actors to reprise their roles as Spider-Man and gave audiences a moment they'd never forget. Sony didn't fight with fans, they just gave them what they wanted. Captain Marvel was very irrelevant to the greater MCU narrative, and many were not interested in a new hero when the story was at such a critical point. Marvel spent so much energy trying to convince fans that her movie was integral to the MCU, but in hindsight, it was not. It was that, combined with Brie Larson's attitude. People hate narcissists. That's why people love Keanu Reeves. It's not because he's a man, it's because he's widely regarded as one of the nicest actors out there. People gravitate towards positivity. Brie Larson brings negativity. Her fans, and articles like this, definitely make sure of that. Articles like this offer little to no value as they attempt to use their self-serving bias to paint a picture that is much uglier than the reality of the situation. The Marvel trailers has a historic number of downvotes. This is true. But to treat this situation only happening because of the hatred of fans is disingenuous at best. There are more reasons than sexism. To put it in perspective, there's a legally accepted amount of rat droppings in your food, so nothing is truly pure. But instead of looking for the speck in your cereal, maybe focus on the giant turd in the punch bowl. Articles like these. So folks, I want to know what you think of this article. 3 questions below. Do you hate Captain Marvel because of sexism? No, you don't, so don't even answer that question. Here are the real 3 questions. 1. What do you think of this article? 2. What do you think of the Marvels trailer? And 3. Did you roll your eyes at all the cringy shit that I had to read? Because I had to read it and it hurt. But I'm not complaining. Very happy to do this. But I do want to talk about the one thing that they didn't talk about in this article. If fans hate all these female-led and minority-led superhero films, and they're just angry men, why are these movies failing at the box office? Because where are the women and where are the LGBTQ people that are out there to support these movies? They're not showing up. The people that Marvel's trying to target these movies to aren't showing up because they don't like superheroes. They don't like any part of the genre, so they're not going to be there. Just because you made a superhero gay or made a superhero a woman isn't going to get some guy's girlfriend excited to go see another Marvel movie. It's just another Marvel movie. And the fans that like Marvel movies, well, man, they're men and women. They're children. They're gay people. They're straight people. They're people of every color. Hell, I'm sure there's some green Marvel fans out there and a couple blue ones because they're probably dead. But I digress. If it was just a small portion of angry white guys on the internet, these movies would not have box office poison written all over them. Ant-Man would have not flopped. Wakanda Forever wouldn't have made $400 million less than the film that came before it. Folks, superhero movies are pretty much dead at this point, and articles like this from Jezebel are just trying to rile people up, and you're not going to gain support from anybody, Jezebel. All you're going to do is piss off the remaining fans. Shit like this, you paint all these people in a corner. Nobody wants to be told they're all these terrible things and then go see this movie. All you're going to do is kill your cause. If to be virtuous is to go support Brie Larson, well then no one's going to go pay money because she's unlikable and you guys make up bullshit. This whole war, this culture war, all this garbage that's going on with Captain Marvel, this shit's already in full storm. And folks, this is what they're hoping will get eyes on the movie and butts in seats. But as we know, controversy can create cash, but sometimes a narcissist will just turn people off. And that's what's happened with Captain Marvel. Maybe it would be smarter to recast her. Maybe it'd be smarter to not make this movie because these movies aren't making their box office budgets back. Ant-Man is a failure. Captain Marvel, probably gonna be a failure too. Guardians of the Galaxy, that's up in the air. That's out in a few weeks, but I'm not seeing as many people talk about that one as other Marvel movies. You can just feel when there's hype and excitement, like the Super Mario movie, which we're going to talk about next time. But there is not much going on with Guardians right now, and there is even less going on about the Marvels. And according to the press, the Marvels was pushed back because of The Haunted Mansion, another Disney picture. So Disney themselves doesn't even have faith that the Marvels is going to make a bunch of money. Now, of course, they say it needs more post-production time, and looking at all the Marvel films, they all needed a little more post-production time. That just seems like a coverall, but if that's the case, good. They need to make these movies look better. A polished turd is still a polished turd, but at least it's polished. It shows they cared. So folks, I'm gonna get out of here. I'll be back next time with more, but in the meantime, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other. No matter what the article says, I know the type of people you are. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching today's video. Yes, it's over, but don't cry because there's more, a lot more from World Class Bullshitters. And there's only one way to get it. Hit that subscribe button below. When you do that, you'll get notifications and updates from World Class Bullshitters every time we go live. Basically, you won't miss anything. And if there's one thing I hate, it's FOMO. But the thing most people hate more than FOMO is fear of missing out on World Class Bullshitters, because there's just some things you can't undo. So folks, do yourselves a favor and never miss anything from World Class Bullshitters. One last thing before you go, hit the thumbs up button. Not for our egos, no, they're big enough as this, but it does help us fight the algorithm here, and well, it's man versus machine, and that's the real fight. But if that's not your battle, that's okay. There's one last way you can help WCBS, and that's going over to shopwcbs.com, picking up a t-shirt, a beer glass, a sweatshirt, a poster, all sorts of ways to back WCBS. The difference between us and other YouTube channels is I'm the artist that makes all this stuff, so if you enjoy art, beyond t-shirts, you can even read our comic books. We got it all. We're called the epitome of pop culture for a reason, and no, again, it's not for our egos. So folks, make sure you're involved with every aspect of World Class Bullshitters, not just for us, but do it for yourself. We're making the change in entertainment everybody out there wants to see. And a special thank you goes out to all of our wonderful patrons who make this content possible. Go to patreon.com/worldclassbs to get involved and help out the channel.